Hello, friends. Today we will dive into the dark and mysterious world of vampires and werewolves. These creatures have always stirred our imagination with their supernatural powers and dark nature. In this video, I will share with you some interesting legends about bloodsuckers and werewolves that have been frightening people around the world for centuries. Ready? Then let's begin. The legend of Count Dracula, inspired by the real historical figure Vlad the Impaler, has lived on for many centuries. Vlad was known for his cruelty and earned the nickname the Impaler due to his habit of impaling his enemies. According to the legend, after his death, his spirit did not find peace, and he returned to the world of the living as a bloodthirsty vampire who haunts the Carpathian Mountains. In the 16th century, in the English town of Crinton, local residents faced a series of mysterious deaths. People claimed that a vampire was responsible, rising from his grave at night to feed on the blood of the living. According to legend, a brave soul found the coffin containing the corpse, which had blood on its lips. He drove a wooden stake through the vampire's heart, and after that, the horrors ceased. In the 13th century, a vampire monk appeared in the Scottish Alnwick Castle. It was said that he was so sinful in life that after death, he became a vampire. Local residents reported seeing him rise from his grave and drink the blood of sleeping people. According to the legend, his remains were burned to put an end to his tyranny. In ancient Egyptian mythology, there were beings similar to vampires. One such figure was Sekhmet, the goddess of war and destruction. She was known for her fierce behavior and her ability to drink the blood of her enemies. Sekhmet was both a protector and a destroyer, and her cult was associated with rituals aimed at appeasing her wrath. In ancient Greek mythology, there were also creatures resembling vampires. One such being was Lamia, a woman who turned into a demon after losing her children. Lamia became known for drinking the blood of children and young people to soothe her grief and seek revenge. There are numerous stories about how Lamia would abduct children and attack people to satisfy her hunger. In Chinese mythology, the Honghu are reanimated corpses that wander the world, feeding on the life force of living beings. They can take on a human appearance, but their actions are aggressive and aimed at absorbing the energy of the living. Honghu are often used in Chinese folklore to explain unexplained illnesses and disasters. In Hungarian folklore, there is a legend of the Lampiras. Lampiras was a person who, after death, would return to drink the blood of the living. He could be either a deceased youth or an adult. In Hungary, there were various methods for protecting oneself from lampiras, including driving a stake through the corpse and using spells. In myths, vampires possess a variety of abilities. They may be immortal, have superhuman strength, be invisible, or shapeshift. In some legends, vampires can read minds, control the weather, or create illusions. These powers make them particularly dangerous and elusive. There are many ways to protect against vampires, varying across cultures. These methods can include using garlic, holy water, crosses, or specific rituals. Vampires are often vulnerable to silver, and they can be destroyed by driving a stake through their heart, decapitating them, or burning their body. In some myths, vampires are also afraid of sunlight, which can destroy them. Many vampire myths involve rituals aimed at exorcising or destroying vampires. For instance, in European traditions, there were ceremonies that included the use of specific incantations, church rites, and magical objects for protection against vampires and for combating them. Although the banshee is originally considered a harbinger of death in Irish mythology, some versions of the legend depict this spirit as capable of drinking blood. The banshee is known for her wailing, which foretells death, but in certain variations of the myth, she may use her power to absorb the life force or blood of her victims. In myths, vampires typically seek to drink blood to sustain their life and immortality. They often hide and hunt for victims, predominantly at night. Additionally, vampires may attempt to create new vampires by turning their victims into similar beings, thereby expanding their influence and numbers. In Slavic mythology, there is a legend of the Verdalak, a dead person who returns to life to drink the blood of the living. The Verdalak is a creature that can appear among the living, disguising itself as an ordinary person. It reveals its malevolence and thirst for blood when the victim is particularly vulnerable, often at night. To prevent the return of the dead body, various rituals are used, such as driving a stake through the heart or using holy water.
One of the most common vampire myths states that a vampire is a dead person who returns to life with the intent of drinking the blood of the living. This return may be the result of a curse, dark magic, or improper burial. In some versions of the myth, vampires arise due to the violation of taboos or as a consequence of violent death. Vampires are often depicted as beings with a multitude of supernatural abilities. They may possess immortality, making them immune to aging and diseases. They can also have superhuman strength, speed, and agility. In some myths, vampires have the power to shapeshift into forms like bats or mist, and they also possess the ability to hypnotize and manipulate the minds of people. Vampires are among the most universal and enigmatic beings in the mythologies of various cultures. Despite variations in details, the core traits of vampires remain similar. They return to life after death, possess supernatural abilities, and feed on the blood or life force of the living. These myths often reflect deep human fears and phobias, such as the fear of death, disease, and the unknown. With that, we conclude our journey into the world of vampire and werewolf myths and legends. These stories, passed down through generations, remind us of how our fear of the unknown has shaped our culture and beliefs. I hope you found it interesting. And if you want to hear more such stories, subscribe to the channel and give a thumbs up. See you next time.
Do not remember that myths and legends are not just ancient commandments, a reflection of a light soul and our desire to understand the world. Every story about vampires, werewolves, or other mythical creatures contains part of our history and culture. It is important to remember that behind every myth, there is a deep meaning that can help us better understand ourselves and the world around us. Stay tuned for new releases and get ready for even more exciting journeys through the worlds of mythology and fantasy. Thank you for your attention and see you again.